I was sophomore class president. I was mascot my junior and senior year. I was in theater.
Okay, wait, go back to mascot. So what was the mascot?
It was a giant cowboy named Rowdy Ranger.
I just love this.
Giant cowboy. So imagine first game of the season in August, you're wearing a quilted suit with gloves that come up to here. You have gloves that are your hands. My boots, because of course cowboys have to have giant boots,
Yeah.
came almost up to my knee.
Especially a rowdy ranger. Sorry. It's discontinued. Welcome to Sorry, It's Discontinued. I'm Hilary, your host, and I'm so glad you're here today. Now, I want to go back a little bit before I introduce our next guest. When I was a little girl, almost every Christmas, my mom would get one of those big Estée Lauder blockbuster gift sets. I know you know what I'm talking about. The big ones with the train case, the brushes, eyeshadow, blush palettes, lipstick, and all those beautiful little pieces. She'd split it between my sister and I. Though I think one year we each got our own, so it was really special. But I still remember how magical it felt opening that case. We'd sit together on the carpet and we'd just play with everything. We would try it, laugh, and I think that's where my love for beauty, it truly began. Now, I didn't realize it at the time, but that iconic gift was more than just makeup. It was a memory, it was tradition, and honestly, it was a part of a legacy that was built by my mom, just creating love of makeup and connecting. Learning more about Estée Lauder as I got older, it made me admire her even more. She was courageous, creative, and such a pioneer. The fact that in the 1940s, she introduced the very first gift with purchase, the first GWP. It was a royal blue zippered pouch filled with mini creams and powders. And when Saks Fifth Avenue took a chance on her line with an $800 opening order, it sold out in just 2 days. That single idea, it reshaped beauty forever. We all love those freebies. Well, that same spirit of creating memories, being passionate, trying things, really is something that also resonates with today's guest. Philip grew up in a small Texas town and was designing his own clothes in high school. He went from there to working behind the beauty counter and eventually studying millinery in London. With the support of his partner, now husband, Tim, Philip followed a dream to study at Central St. Martin's. He trained under instructors who made hats for the British royal family. He returned home soon after, and he and Tim got married. He spent his time building a business. That business grew designing hats for weddings and funerals, the Kentucky Derby and Ascot. Today, Philip brings his eye for elegance to interiors, working as a design specialist here in Houston. Full circle, still helping people live beautifully, just in a new way. His story is full of heart, evolution, craftsmanship. He's just an incredible person, and I can't wait for you to hear his story. So have a seat and let's get into it with Philip. Hello, my friend.
Hi.
My dear Philip, thank you so much for coming on Sorry, It's Discontinued. I'm so excited you said yes to this.
My list of discontinueds is so good.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Well, first off, what have you done today? How has your day been? Have you had a good day?
Today has been so lazy. When I got lunch today, that's all I've done. And I swept my studio.
The best. Yeah, because
That's
you're
it.
off today. Are you working 5 days a week or part-time?
I am currently full-time, and
Okay.
our hours just got extended.
Okay.
Where I work has not updated hours past COVID.
Yeah.
So we were just getting off at 6 every day. And now we're open until 8.
Okay.
Like a genius mastermind, I said, let's work 4 days, 9:30 to 8, and just work 4 days. So
Now that can be a double-edged sword. It could be so great. Then when you're on your shift in the middle of it, you're like, oh my gosh. But you stay pretty busy.
I don't. And that's what's beautiful. I'm like, in the high-end furniture world, especially in Houston, if you have money, you're not here.
Yeah.
You're not
That's true. Everybody's on
redecorating
vacation right now.
everyone's gone.
Yeah. They're not staying in Texas when it's 100
No,
degrees. They're heading to
105.
California or some fancy island. I know.
Maine. I have clients in Maine,
Or in Europe.
Colorado, Europe.
Yeah. I have a lot of
So,
customers that would go to Colorado.
so yeah, I'm like, I would rather do 4 days than 5 days.
Yeah.
Today you go in at 9, tomorrow you go in at noon. So 4 days for the win, I think.
Okay. I like it as long as you're happy. I know just bits and pieces of your story. Did you grow up in Houston?
Originally from Buffalo, New York, a great place to be from.
Okay. I have
Just,
friends from there and it's wonderful, beautiful.
but everything that we do as a creative, you need people around you to support the art.
Yeah.
And that is not available in Buffalo. It's one of the poorest city in the country.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So as a creative, how do you create when there's not excess income for people to support your art?
Yeah. Well, so you lived in Buffalo until how old?
I was 12 when I moved here.
Okay.
Parents got divorced. My mom's family's from here. So it's that F you, we're moving to Texas. We moved in June. I had no clue what humidity was or 100-degree days.
Yeah,
I
I can
never had
relate
that.
because I'm from Ohio. And so when I moved here in 97, just forever ago, the humidity and just the heat in the summer, I had no air conditioning. But man, I always looked glowy. My skin looked fabulous.
I looked so dewy all day.
I was so dewy. I know.
Yep, I moved here in 99.
99. Okay, so you were 12 years old when you moved. So that was junior high
I was going into 6th grade.
into 6th grade. Did you have an easy move when you came to Texas, or was that challenging?
So I grew up in Richmond area, so 59 South, very small, predominantly Hispanic neighborhood.
Yeah.
And, I wasn't openly gay, but I really am flamboyant. So it wasn't hard, but it wasn't easy.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. I'm in Sugarland, so I'm familiar with Richmond. Even went to Wharton Community College based in Richmond, if I'm not mistaken.
Richmond. Yeah, right. I went to Terry High School, which is right around the corner from that campus.
Did you make friends right away? A good support group at school?
I was just the weird oddball. And, if people don't like you, if you make a joke, they'll like you. So I really kind of relied on humor.
Yeah.
And just being the weird kid.
Yeah.
And I ended up actually meeting my cousin that I didn't know was my cousin because it's a cousin through a marriage. And we became really great friends. And I had no clue until I said I was going to my aunt's house. And she's like, oh, really? That I'm going to my uncle's house. And it was a big family thing. And I'm like, we're cousins. How cool.
That's so funny. So, I mean, how funny would it have been if you both showed up at the house and you'd be like, what?
Well, we figured out the day before. Because I was going to my Aunt Kathy's house. She was going to her Uncle Robert's house. And I was like, oh, they live in this, this little house out in the middle of nowhere. They have a kid. His name is Nick. And she's like, no, my Uncle Robert has a wife named Kathy and they have a son named Nick. And I was like, no way.
So how old were you when you guys connected and became good friends?
Oh, 6th grade. We kind of were
right
friends.
when you moved?
Right when I moved. We had,
I think, thank God.
I think we had 2 classes together.
Oh, even better. Because the worst is when you start school and you're looking at all of your classes and does anybody have the same class? Of course, we couldn't text, when I was growing up, you'd have to make a phone call.
Yeah, I didn't have, I had the boop, boop, boop.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay, so were you always into fashion at that age? Were you into clothes? Were you able to touch on your creativity with fashion that young?
I taught myself how to sew.
Wow.
And my sister got gifted a sewing machine for Christmas. She had no desire. And I'm like, well, let's figure this thing out. So it just was like on our dining room table for like a year and no one looked at it. And I started making like outerwear. So I actually, my junior and senior year, I made my winter coats.
Your winter coats, which I know in Texas, it's, it can get pretty cold. I mean, obviously, we've had last few years with the freezes and so on. But when you say a winter coat, my mind goes to a thick, you know, like a parka, or was it like, what kind of coats did you make? And did you make many?
So my favorite was, I refer to it as my pirate coat. It was black corduroy with giant gauntlets, like big sleeves, big collar. And you have to remember when I graduated, I'm 5'9" and I weighed 96 pounds.
Oh my
So I was
goodness.
rail skinny. And I wore these like ridiculous clothes because I'm like, why not?
Why not? It's really freaking fabulous. I love that.
And so I just couldn't wear menswear. Menswear wasn't small enough. I had a
Yeah.
23-inch waist with a 31-inch inseam.
Well, and if you were to find it, where do you find it in Richmond? I mean, I'm trying to think of the closest mall was First
First
Colony
Colony,
around. Yeah. Okay. So that
but
would be the
there's
only
no.
place you could really go, but it wouldn't have that many options, I would think, for your shape
So
and size.
sorry, but discontinued. Do you remember the store Booyaka?
Uh-uh.
They had 000 jeans.
Okay.
The
Yeah, that's
waist,
probably why I never went into that store. I was like size 12 when I was in junior high.
but
Was it
that
just a
was
men's wear?
no, it was women's wear and men's wear, but it was like party girl. Like they had a top that was like a butterfly,
God, I love it already.
and it was just held together with like 3 strings and a bow, which was like every girl had to have, or like that chainmail kind of like halter.
So fun.
But their jeans were so tiny that I could buy jeans there.
So was the store Buraka and they had different brands? Or did you wear a label that said Buraka?
Oh, I don't even know. I think they were like $30, which at the time was like a lot of money for
It is a lot of
jeans.
money.
In
Yeah.
2005, I graduated in 2006. So I'm like in
Okay.
2003, designer jeans weren't a thing yet,
Yeah.
but I had these skinny little pencil legs.
So when you were wearing the jackets to school and you're really just being your authentic self, it sounds like in high school, did you have issues with people at school? I struggled. I had bad luck with being bullied and so on because I always had breakouts and got boobs at a pretty young age. So how was that for you
I
in
just
school?
I just joined everything. I was sophomore class president. I was mascot my junior and senior year. I was in theater.
Okay, wait, go back to mascot. So what was the mascot?
I was a giant cowboy named Rowdy Ranger.
I just love this.
Giant cowboy. So imagine first game of the season in August,
Oh gosh.
and you're wearing a quilted with gloves that come up to here inside. So you have gloves that are your hands, then your
Okay.
sleeve comes to here, and then you have all one piece,
Uh-huh.
and then my boots, because of course cowboys have to have giant boots, came
Yeah,
almost up to my knee.
especially a rowdy ranger.
And then you had like a paper mache head and just two little holes here. That's the only ventilation your body gets is through your eyes. But
Oh my gosh. Wow. How long did you have to wear that? Was that like 3-4 hours? Or could
yeah,
you
whole football
go and take a
games.
break, take it off?
I would take it off for like halftime.
Okay.
But I knew a lot of the kids in band because my sister was drum major. I did winter guard, which is not football season, but off season of color guard.
And then you said drama. You were in theater.
Theater. I'm trying to think what I was in. I could have lettered 7 times. Student council, academic decathlon, theater, band, because I did winter guard enough that I could have gotten a letter for band. I just did everything because
So in band, what was your instrument?
I never played an instrument. I just did winter guard.
Okay. I don't know what winter guard, like
So
what do you
it's
do in winter guard?
it's
I didn't sign up for hardly anything, just choir, theater. No.
So it's
Little bit.
color guard
Everything. Okay.
indoors. Like imagine color guard without a band
Okay.
inside, like on like a basketball field, like a basketball court.
Did you dance or
I did. Like, it was one of my friends did it, and it was like, hey, we need a guy because this year we want to do a Beetlejuice themed show and we need a guy. So it was me
Okay.
and a bunch of like
Just your
Latina
friends
girls, and they were like,
dance?
don't fuck with him because that's, you know, we like him. Don't fuck with him. And I'm like, thank you, Crystal.
Aw, I already love them.
It was
That would
just
be
this,
amazing.
it
Like,
was just like,
you just
yeah.
have fun.
And
You're like,
they,
"I'm in
yeah.
color guard."
And I did academic decathlon. And then senior year, I worked half day. So I left every day at like 12:30, and I just quit everything senior year.
You quit everything. Why?
Because
Why all of a sudden you're all in and then you're like, you know what?
because I left, I couldn't do anything after school because I had a job.
What was your job?
I was the first job, which I actually walked out on. I was the boy on the headset at McDonald.
Okay.
And I did that for like 10 months, almost a year, because it was really close to my house.
I see. So getting the money, the checks, and really just working, kind of, it pulled you out because you couldn't fit all of it in
Yeah,
anymore.
because
You had to work a schedule. Were you full-time or part-time?
I would say like heavy part-time.
Okay.
But when you work at, 1 o'clock, I couldn't leave at 3:40 to go back to school for after school stuff.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I kind of felt like a baddie. Like I wasn't living with my parents. They moved out of school district. So my dad's best friend adopted me
Oh
so
my
that I could
God.
stay at my school because I was so involved in activities.
Wow. So did you go to college after that, or what was the next step for you after you graduated?
Full-time retail. I
Full-time
worked
retail.
at ALDO shoes. At the time, dress code was black, white, and gray. We all
Okay.
looked so chic in black, white, and gray. Now I think you can wear like whatever you want as long as you show up on time. Because they're a Canadian company, so it was very like Quebecois chic.
Yeah.
And I did that. And then I kind of fell into the beauty world.
Yeah. You started drinking the beauty world Kool-Aid and the
And
makeup
there's so
and the
much
color.
Kool-Aid.
And
There's so much Kool-Aid.
I know. And it could be really good Kool-Aid. Was that the time that I met you?
No, my first job in beauty basically needed a job. I was living with my friend in the Heights. You need a job. You need to go do something. And I applied to Macy's in the Galleria.
Okay.
At the time, there were 2 Macy's in the Galleria.
Yes, because the other one was the one
that
Saks tore
Saks is.
down and
Yes.
rebuilt. Yeah, in Houston.
So I was hired to work Estée Lauder at the original Macy's.
Wow.
Never touched a makeup brush in my life. But it was, the store was so slow because unless you knew where it was, you didn't know how to get to it.
Yeah. Wait, was this the one in the Galleria or was this the one in downtown Houston?
In the Galleria. It was
In the Galleria.
so
Okay,
you
so I
had
was
to,
right. It was the one,
yeah,
the Saks.
you had to walk through Saks to a time warp because the mall looked like that part of the mall was never renovated from like probably like the 1960s.
Yes.
And then there was like the second Macy's. And I was your Estee Lauder rep.
Yay.
Who wants a
I love me some
Blockbuster?
Estee Lauder.
Yeah, buy your fragrance and get your Blockbuster.
Did you have to wear the uniform?
Yes. And
I don't know. What was the uniform? Were they supportive if you wanted to wear just like the jacket or whatever? Like, what did you wear?
At the time, and wore a ink blue. So it was like a black blue shirt.
Okay.
Which on me was huge. You have to remember, I barely weighed 100 pounds.
Yes.
The shoulders came down to here, really big, just giant shirt. And I had
a lot of their uniforms at that time were so boxy because I know my girlfriends, they'd have to wear those dresses. It was just basically like one long rectangular panel with sleeves.
Yes, that's what I looked like. And then I had to wear a tie every day.
Oh, I bet you're so cute. I mean, you're still wearing ties.
But your tie gets in the way of everything, especially when you're like cleaning over tester units. At the time, that's when Estee had a really, really big counter. At the time, I think there were like 6 foundations.
Did they have doubleware at that time?
Frosted.
I love doubleware. I still.
Yes, in the frosted cube bottle with the gold
Yes.
pump that you
Yes.
had to clean. It was a monster. Yeah.
The cleaning of the foundations, where you have your area of pride where you have to focus on cleaning. My job a lot of times is cleaning the foundations at pretty much all the lines that I've worked at. That could take you hours, especially with that many foundation bottles that they would have.
Yes. And then
To
they
go
all have
in,
their
'cause
little
you know what?
caps.
You gotta clean the cap.
Yeah, then you have to clean the cap.
Do you remember the frosted apricot? I think they still make it from Estee Lauder.
Yes. Is it coral?
Is it
Maybe.
coral?
Is it pink? Maybe. Could you wear it with a red liner? Yes.
Yeah, you could. I have a color on today that's kind of similar to that, but it had the best frost, because frosted lipsticks, they're just so fun.
And that was always one of like the go-tos for like the gift with the GWP was like frosted apricot. Do you want frosted apricot or like some berry color?
Okay, so you're at Estee Lauder. You're working at the beautiful gallery of Macy's, and then we'll say pivot in honor of Kenneth. What's the next step? Where is Philip at this time? And how does he feel?
Then I went to Dillard's, step up in the world. And I went in as the Clarins counter manager.
What?
Which, of all the things in the world, like French beauty, key to success.
I didn't know you worked for Clarins.
Yes.
I worked for Clarins. After I left Foley's, I worked at a Clarins counter. This is just part-time. But I know their brand. So beautiful. Yeah.
And I did that.
A great company to work for.
Dillard's, not so much. But I think everyone agrees that's ever worked in a Dillard's.
There's some challenges, with a lot of different department stores. How was that for you? So especially being a young counter manager, was it just you, or did you have a team?
I had 2 employees.
Okay.
One that was assigned to the counter and one that would be at the counter. Her name was Tamara. I don't know what happened to her, but do you know the women that have been in cosmetics their whole life? She was definitely one of those women. And I'm like, oh, baby girl, you got your book. She would just work her book.
Oh, the book where you just open it up, has a little like notes for each client. Everything's like handwritten
and terrifying.
Highlighted. I used to highlight mine back in the day. I loved a book. Because it's just like it's tangible, and you're holding it, and you're like, wow, look at what I did. I created these relationships.
But now it's all on computers. And
now it's all on computer. I know. I know, like with security and not writing down anybody's personal information and all that. I'm such a huge advocate for security. I get it. But having a book where you just have like, this person has a daughter and she's 6.
Yes, and her birthday's in June. Her favorite fragrance is what? Happy by Clinique.
Or like Calyx by Prescriptives.
One of my, sorry it's discontinued, is the Prescriptives foundation and concealer. The texture was creamy and dreamy. And it was when you like had to like pump in the different colors.
Did you work for Prescriptives where you did the custom blending?
No, but I worked next to a counter that did.
Yes.
And I'm like,
that was the first line I started with. Actually, it was Prescriptives at Foley's at West Oaks Mall. This was in 2000. We didn't have custom blending, though. But that was when they launched, I think it was on the Today Show, the Magic line with the magic powder that was like 70% water and the gorgeous like liquid highlighter. They had such great products. So I was always scared to do the custom blend. So I was thankful we didn't have it.
But just, it was such a cool concept, which everyone does now.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like every Sephora or every beauty store you go into, they're like, here, like, touch this to your skin and we'll tell you what foundation you need to wear. And I'm like, Prescriptives did that 25 years ago.
Yeah, they paved the way. I think when people would come in and they would do the custom blend, I mean, women for the first time, one of the few first times they could really find a match. You could just come in and you give them your little recipe card. Did you have to custom blend foundation? Like, say, if no one was at the Prescriptives counter, you'd have to go and handle it?
Oh, no. I'd be like, I'll take your phone number and have them call you.
It would be pretty intimidating.
Well, and just like what made it so cool is at the time, every foundation that was warmer than a shade 4 was
Yeah.
red. It was either super, super red or super,
Yep.
super cocoa. No one is here or here.
Yeah. They paved the way for a lot of that with foundation, I think. So, all right. Well, that's so cool. So, how long were you at Clarins?
Dillard's, I was there for, I think, maybe a year, over a year. And then from Dillard's, I went to Nordstrom,
Okay.
where I went in for Clarins. That's when we met, was at Nordstrom, because you were at Chanel and I was at Clarins, but not line assigned. But they were like, oh, you know the brand. So I wasn't line assigned. And then I got bounced around for months.
Okay.
And then I was placed at Bobbi,
So, you weren't
RIP.
at Chanel with me? Are you?
I was at Bobbi for like 9 months.
Okay.
And then from Bobbi, they needed more people because at the time they were like $1 million counter.
Yeah.
Now they're a 1 person counter. And I'm like, how?
I know. I know. I think I'm not, that line itself, I still wear a lot of like the lipstick and certain colors and so on. But yeah, it's more limited. But I think with Bobbi, if they really focused on some of their like hotter items, maybe limit it. I know so many changes. It's really when Estee Lauder kind of took over. So, all right, Bobbi, then Chanel.
Then Chanel.
Man, just counter hopping.
Counter hopping. But at the time, this was 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Well, I was at Dillard's or Nordstrom at like 2012, 2013.
Yeah, because your babies were babies still.
Max was three
Yes.
and a half or so. I was there for like a year and a half working part-time. Hadn't adjusted full time. I had 3 kids and daycare was unaffordable. So Talk would go to work and then I would go to work. We would swap. And his mom was helping. I would come in, I think, 5 or 6 at Nordstrom. I just remember, we would play with color, talk, and just be goofy. I could just be goofy with you.
When you're there, but I'm like, and that's when I think Chanel had 6 people on the line?
Yeah. That's when they did that installation, which it's completely different now and they've shifted things. But that's when they had that installation facing jewelry. And we helped with the installation.
Yes. And it was at the time, this is groundbreaking. Like, you're gonna make money. And we're like, it's a
They
test
were
unit.
really, I just remember how serious they all took it. Like the department manager at the time, he came over and I had my hands full at one point. There were customers and I closed the drawer. The drawers are so low to the ground. I closed it with my foot. And he was like, you don't ever do that. You're going to damage the installation. So it was like
Yes.
a rubber shoe. I was like,
Well,
oh, thanks.
and I'm like,
okay.
this is-
You want to help me?
This is what this stuff is made. It's made commercial grade.
Counter installations. And you go into the counters that haven't been updated and they have those like metal clips where you pull the drawers open and then you forget customers waiting for you. You're in a hurry. And then somebody comes around the corner. Boom, they trip, hit their shin. It's like a danger zone. See, yeah.
Because we are warriors. We are eyeshadow warriors.
We really are. We really are. How did this happen where you ended up getting into fashion and then you went to Paris?
So I left Nordstrom. I wanted to stay in the fashion world, right? Once you're in, you dive in deep.
Yes.
So Tim, at the time, who's my now husband, we were dating and he's like, well, what do you want to do? Like, take some time, think about it. What do you want to do? And
what a good guy, what a good husband.
I said, what is something super niche, ridiculously niche that I get to pick my client, pick my price point, and decide who I work, and so Millinery really checked all of those boxes. So for my engagement gift, I spent 3.5 months in London at University of Arts, UAL, University of Arts London in Central St. Martin, studying just bespoke hat making.
That's so incredible. What were your favorite memories of that time? What are some of the things that just like really influenced you or hit you? Because I'm imagining you're there and you're like, am I really here?
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
this young man from Buffalo and a small
Who
town in Texas
is
who's
now in
studying
London.
hat making.
So Central St. Martin is where Zach Posen, Stella McCartney, Alexander McQueen, that's some of their students. I'm like, the next Issey Miyake could be in these rooms, right? And
Yeah.
that was the cool thing. And then really just because I was by myself and I interned on weekends and after class. So I was ridiculously busy, lost on the train all the time. I just really connected with people that I still talk to regularly that
Oh, that's
are
great.
in the field or, in the world of hat making. It was
Yeah.
really just one of those experiences where I'm like,
Wow.
where did this come from?
It's almost like a fashion vision quest
Yeah.
where you're really just finding yourself and connecting with your hands, fabrics, your creativity. Was it overwhelming or scary, or were you able to kind of be and not put a lot of pressure on yourself?
My goal there was no expectations
Good.
because, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I was taking private lessons from one of my instructors who I found through one of my other instructors. She was making hats for the Queen Mom.
Oh,
She's knighted for her technical skill in millinery. And she was like holding my hands, showing me like how to do stuff. And I'm like, wow,
magical.
this is what dreams are made of.
Yes.
So that was really one of those experiences that I'm like, it couldn't even happen again.
Really touched your life. Wow. You came back to Houston, and were you focused on your business and millinery?
I am ridiculously spoiled and lucky. I worked, but I would pick up freelancing gigs for La Mer or, like, can you do a spa event?
I think that's wonderful.
I really enjoyed just like being a house husband
Yeah.
because I came
You
home.
did.
I came home and then like 3 months later we got married. So it
Well,
was,
you guys, you're such a great fit. And he's been so supportive of you. And I know after you were creating more hats that people were looking for you too to help with was it the Kentucky Derby?
of
I remember
course.
having that conversation, and you were making quite a few hats for some of the guests that were going to Kentucky Derby a couple of years ago.
And clientele has grown,
Ah,
but I get to choose.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
The clients that I work with now let me figure it out. So I might
They
give
give
them,
you creative freedom
yeah,
to
it's,
design what's in your heart, and
yeah.
they'll love it.
And this is my outfit. And they hold up their little outfit. And this is like a question that I ask everyone. Where are you going? Who do you want to be?
Uh-huh.
Where are you going? Who do you want to be? It really makes you think
Yeah.
about your presentation. And it really changes the way I think and act around individuals. Is like, who do I want you to remember me as?
That makes sense because whenever I see you, your way of laughing and talking about what you're doing, it's just so natural and so easy with you. So I can imagine, any of your clients, customers, and people, they feel that same way. And they're like, yeah, you know what? You do you design the hat, have fun with it. I'll love it.
Yeah. And some of them don't even see it until they are in
In
Louisville,
Kentucky.
in
Oh, no.
Kentucky. And they're like, I opened it and wow.
It's like when they find out,
Yes.
it's so
Yes.
beautiful. So a minute ago, there were balloons that went up. Is it your birthday or something?
No, I have no clue how that happened.
Okay.
But
I
yes,
was
there were
like,
like balloons.
it's his birthday and I don't know.
No, February.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. So there's so many things that you've done. Was there something that you, looking back, were you always kind of a go with the flow, not really a planner?
I am
Like,
not a planner at all,
okay.
which even on holiday, it's like, what are we doing today? I'm like, you open the door and see where the wind blows you is always my take on situations, which my husband hates.
So he's the planner.
No, he's not the planner either,
Oh, he's not.
but he wants to be.
Okay.
So it's, well, where are we going today? I'm like, well, I do 2 things a day. Like that's like on holiday, I do 2 things a day. I'll go to a museum or an event, but I only do 2 activities a day. I'm not rushing. Which is kind of how I live my regular life too, where I live this very like curated experience
Mm-hmm.
that I'm
I
like,
think that's a great way to live. I'm learning to live that way. My friend makes fun of me because he said she's making a plan to make a plan because I'm always planning. I think it comes from, having 3 kids, 2 dogs, working as a manager. I don't know. I've always been that way too, but I struggle with anxiety. That helps me control the anxiety. I'm trying to live closer to how you're living. I'm just going to go with the flow. So I appreciate the way that you live your life. And
but I also have very little responsibility.
you have some.
Very
I mean, don't you
little.
have a cat?
We have a dog,
Oh, you have a dog.
Duncan. Yeah, we have a dog named Duncan, but my only job is to take him on walks at night. I
Uh,
don't even do morning duty.
well, he's your fur child.
But I don't even
They
do
can be
morning
pretty
duty.
demanding.
I don't do
Yeah.
morning duty.
Okay.
So it's different with like families that have kids and a husband and different schedules. Like
Yeah, I know.
my
I know.
husband's retired.
It's
He's
true.
been retired moderately. So I'm the only one that like punches the clock.
And you were doing that a lot the last few years when you were working at Saks, going in at what 9:30 and leaving at 6, 7. Get
Eight,
those goals
yes, get the
in, and
goals in. Well, but when you enjoy your team, you enjoy your work.
yeah,
And I've always really been lucky to have really great people that I work with
mm-hmm. Makes all the difference. Your work family.
because I see them, I'd say like, you see your work family more than your real family, but you do.
You do. I really do think creating those connections and having that relationship with your team where you can trust each other. Like, oh, your client came in. I went ahead and I helped her for you. Here's her information if you want to follow up. Or just doing those things for each other can make such a huge
Especially
difference.
commission based.
Gosh, yeah.
Like at the end of the day, every beauty counter is commission based.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And working in all of it, where you were in beauty, skincare, and fashion and styling, the women or men that you were working with were 100% on commission, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
And it
for
is
that brand.
terrifying.
Yeah. I've never worked commission based only. I mean, being just in the beauty industry, having more of an hourly plus commission, I felt safer.
Of course, yes, because we know
But
we're gonna make X amount of dollars, and then you're like, oh, the commission is the icing on top.
men and women who work commission based, like in shoes or in the men's department or women's or lingerie, they're so strong and they're in doing that. But I can be
Especially
yeah,
now
especially now.
that return policies are basically irrelevant to the situation. But you bought something on a Friday, coincidentally, you're returning it on Monday.
Yeah.
As an employee, you're really not getting paid.
Yeah, and then they return it and it cuts into the commission and you owe that money back.
Yes.
Right?
Which is terrifying. I'm like,
Yeah.
you can't work in a high-end department store, especially in women's wear, and expect to make money.
Yeah.
Because
I
women
wish,
they're either fickle and they
yeah.
don't know, or they know, they wear it and then return it because social media is a thing and they can't wear the same dress again.
I wish there was more of a balance where the store would support the associate. They would try to offset a lot of the return. Clients would recognize how valuable not returning is and have that meet in the middle, but really communicating what you need with your sales associate. Kind of team up with your
That's a
stylist.
different situation. A
Yeah.
lot of these women love what they're getting. They wear it. We've had stuff returned where tags are wrapped in saran wrap. I'm like, oh, you intentionally knew that you were going to wrap it so that the tag wouldn't get smudged.
I see. So you're talking about Shady McShaderson,
And surprisingly,
being a little sneaky.
it's not the people you would think who do that. It's the women that come in with their little bag or, and they're like, well, but I can't wear it again.
I see. Right now, you are working and doing furniture I
Yes.
mean, what?
Hey,
Full
you
circle.
gotta mix it up. Mix it
Well, I
up.
mean, that's maybe not a full circle, but you're just pretty much checking all the
Check all the
boxes.
boxes. And I didn't know anything about furniture. I could be like, this would fit in your space. I've done some interior design work. We own some apartment complexes, so we would have some B&B units. I would
Yeah.
decorate them. I never thought I would be a professional decorator. Like I had never in my mind
I
did I
could
think that.
see it. I totally could see it. I could see you're well-rounded with all of your creativity. So the fact that you're doing that, and I'm sure, are you having fun? Are you enjoying it?
It is, I don't want to say liberating. Like I work at a high-end interior design company. So the people that walk in, they already know what they want, right?
Mm,
If you're going to
yeah.
spend $30,000 on a sofa, you kind of know what you want.
You've narrowed it down.
And a lot of these people, either this is not their first time doing a home. They're
Yeah.
decorating their second house or an apartment in the city. So
Wow.
it's
That sounds
not
like fun.
as much hand holding. Like
Yeah.
I'm not trying to convince anyone.
Yeah.
Where in cosmetic world, it is a lot of like the fantasy. This skincare is gonna make you amazing. Like there is more romance involved.
Uh,
It's eye cream, and after using it for a year, you're gonna look 20 again. It's very much this is what it is. Do
yes.
you want it or no?
Yeah. Do you feel the pressure of goals? Is it similar to how, with all the other sales jobs and retail? Is this one, of course, you probably have a goal or a guideline that you need to it's
Every
yeah.
job, they're like you have to. I always say like you have to like create your pay.
Yeah. Do you feel that pressure or you just kind of let it go and, similar to how you live your life each day, you're just going to go in, do the best you can and design, have fun, connect
Yeah,
with people?
that's at the end of the day. I'm like I can't let numbers dictate how you sell. Right?
Yeah.
Be my friend first. Sell me something second.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I was hired, my new boss basically said, she's like, we interviewed a guy that has a degree in architecture, wants to learn how to do this, and we interviewed you. Why did you pick me? Like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but it really she basically was like, well, but we just feel like your
Your
energy
energy.
is
Yes.
going to, like, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, I agree. I could totally see it. I mean, you being in the interview and just your energy, it's so contagious. Yeah, just design, just have fun with it. It's the
Yeah.
same thing. Okay, style my living room
Yeah.
or my new house.
And,
Have
like I
fun.
always say, like, you never pick someone's budget
Yeah.
and you never know. Everyone wears athleisure every day now. It is so weird. So you can't qualify or disqualify people. So I'm like, hey,
Yeah, you just get to know the person, see what they need, create that relationship with them. Oh,
I'm here 40 hours a week no matter what. So
is it
we
40?
I
So it's
work
40
40
hours?
hours a week. Yeah.
Wow. Well, thanks for coming on here on your day off. Man.
I have 3 a week now. It is beautiful. So it's
Oh,
38. Basically, we have to, you have to take 2 lunches now because you're working over 10 hours. But
okay.
I think it's like 39.5 hours.
Okay. Well, I can tell you're handling it well and enjoying it. It's worth it.
Yeah.
I want to get into the discontinued products that you said you have a list. Do you really have a list?
In my head, yes. But
Okay, in your head.
prescriptives, like I said earlier, like prescriptives. Bobbi Brown tinted moisturizer.
Good one.
Oh,
So good. I know. I remember when women would come to the counter because it just went discontinued a few years ago, right? Like a couple years ago. But I remember people coming to the counter and looking for it. And, there's just such a like want when you tell them the options. I don't know how many options are out there now. Okay. So tinted moisturizer, Bobbi Brown.
do you remember like the paddle foundation brushes? Like they actually look like a paintbrush rather than the new ones that are like beauty blenders or like the crazy foundation brushes now. And I'm like, why? This is not
Yeah. You
necessary.
might be able to find a paddle brush if you look, but it's probably limited.
Do you remember? So Trish McAvoy had an eyeshadow, and it was a perfect foggy nude color.
Okay. No, I don't. I don't remember that color.
I don't even remember the name of it, but it was like this like gray beige.
Oh, yes. I had a customer, there was a color that was like that. I wonder if it's the same one you're thinking of that was discontinued. She was so upset. She bought like 3 or 4 before they were all going to be gone. But yeah, those beige colors, those nude colors, the matte colors, they're so limited now, especially like in the department stores. A lot of people still look for them.
Yes. Or
And that one single color that you could wear with other brands. I know.
the,
Just put like right in the middle,
yeah,
right in the
just look.
corner. A little bit.
But
Yep.
like that, and like the extended body care line of Clarins, so hard to find now.
Oh, yes. Yeah, like their oils. What is that one that fragrance? It's like a almost like a misty.
Eau de Namissance.
Yes.
And then they had a blue bottle called Eau Tranquility. I still have one.
Ah,
The beautiful thing about the fragrance is that it changes on everyone.
yes.
I have one. I've probably had it for like 20 years. And occasionally I'll be like the tiniest.
It's just a little bit. I love you. You smell so good.
Like
I
there's
know I have a couple like that I just you just sparingly use because you know it's not around anymore. But those fragrances from Clarins, it's like you spray it and you're like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready for the day.
yeah.
Like when I come into the Clarins counter, back then I was so tired because I had a baby. Trin was little, and I would spray the eau de namissance.
Namissance. Yes.
De namissance.
And it's an antimicrobial. Like, so
Oh.
that's what we, at the counter, that's what we use to actually clean the tester units.
I didn't know that.
Yes, you can use it as a deodorant.
Okay.
Or like you could use it as like a sanitizer.
That's
Like,
so
how
cool.
cool is that? Like, how fucking French? Where you're like, oh, this is dirty. Now it smells beautiful.
Twofer. You make me want to go and just play around with some of the Clarins stuff too. And well, so what is a trend right now that you're super excited about? Like for you? I mean, I have to ask you that before we go. Like, what is something that you're really into right now for you and your style and fashion?
Shopping vintage.
It never goes out of style.
Never goes out of
Shopping
style.
vintage.
And like the quality of
I know.
something. And what's really weird is that if you think of vintage clothing, it's from the 90s now.
Yeah, no.
Which I'm like, no, boo. Like I want like 60s, 70s, 80s.
In my mind, being 49, I think vintage. I think, yes, 50s, 60s, 70s. But now when you say vintage, now it's the 80s and 90s.
Which, boo. Like no one wants that. But I just think like shopping vintage is such a great
Therapy.
Or, like when you find it, you're like, this was meant to be.
Yeah. Just brings you joy.
Yeah. And the prices.
I love the smell of an old bag, like the old leather. It's like that weird musty. It's so old, but I do love it.
But yeah, when in doubt, go vintage.
Go vintage. Any advice you have for people who want to get into this industry and luxury furniture, fashion? I don't know. What's on your heart?
Ask questions.
Yeah.
Someone knows an answer, and people want to help you grow.
Okay. So ask questions of like mentors or
anyone,
companies you're interested in, or just in life in general.
Try things.
Ask
really
questions from anyone.
find what brings you joy and dive in. Like you're allowed to change your mind, but commit.
Yeah, I agree. I think consistency makes a difference. But if you start with something that just feels good, it feels right, like you're headed in the right direction, then, I mean, it's endless where you could end up. And you might end up, of course, not where you think you will. Like, look at you.
I never thought I would be sitting in a millinery studio on the 3rd floor of my house. But here we are.
Here you are.
It's just dive in. Like, ask questions and dive in. And you will be supported.
I'm going to put your Instagram. I'll attach that to this episode. And I can't thank you enough for sitting with me today on your day off.
It was fun.
It was so fun. So enjoy the rest of your day, and I just love you so much.
Love you.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of Sorry It's Discontinued. If you love hearing about the real voices from behind the counter, be sure to follow the show, leave a review, or share this episode with another fan of fashion, fragrance, or just anything retail. If you've got a story to tell or an idea for a future episode, I'd love to hear from you. Just head to sorryitsdiscontinued.com. Send me a message. This podcast is independently produced and not affiliated with or sponsored by any brands or companies or retail stores mentioned. All stories and opinions are personal and reflect the views of the individual speaking. We speak honestly, but this space is meant to be respectful of the brands, stores, and careers we've all worked really hard for. This show is about connection and the challenges of working in this industry, but also the inspiration we get from each other. So until next time, thank you for being here. And remember, a smile can brighten someone's day, whether you're behind the counter or in front of it. I can't wait to have a seat with you the next episode. Bye. Sorry. It's discontinued.